Dolan was once the most feared dragon in the world, but after being betrayed by his allies, he is reincarnated as a newborn baby and must learn what it means to be human. The story begins with the human army successfully binding the mightiest dragon of this fantasy world in chains. Their so-called hero mercilessly drives his blade through the dragon's heart. The dragon doesn't understand why the humans are trying to subdue him after all. He remembers being their ally. He refrains from attacking, still considering them friends, and only asks to be spared from such cruel treatment. The lonely dragon, having existed for so long, no longer desires to fight these insignificant creatures. He offers little resistance and accepts his fate. As he crumbles away, he breaks his shackles and looks up at the sky, begging the gods for eternal peace for his soul. However, the gods seem to have other plans. Instead of sending Dolan to the underworld, they place his soul in the cycle of life and death, reincarnating him as a newborn human baby. When Dolan first opens his eyes, he finds himself gazing at an ordinary man and woman. The woman, excited to see her baby's eyes open, names him Dolan. She introduces herself as his mother and the man beside her as his father. She also mentions that Dolan has an older brother. Judging by their joyful faces, Dolan assumes he's been reborn into a happy family. As time passes, Dolan grows into a tall young swordsman who enjoys the simple pleasures of his village life. One day, as he's admiring the sunset, a girl named Eri runs up to him. Dolan glances at her and then at the calm village behind her, feeling a deep sense of peace and contentment. Eri notices his subtle smile and asks if something's bothering him. He assures her everything's fine, and together they head back to the village. I think Dolan is just silently being thankful to the gods for gifting him with this peaceful life instead of giving him the endless sleep he once sought. He currently lives in a small village named Reborn, which is situated on the north border of the continental kingdom of Arcrest. After his death as a dragon, he was born here as a human and has been spending his days here ever since. The only industry here is agriculture, so Dolan too is an agriculturist, a farmer. Every day, he wakes up by the ray of sunlight coming through the blinds and then goes out into the fields to work on his farm. This is the only way to earn his daily bread, and he doesn't complain because he gets plenty of water and food to eat this way. After having lunch alone with some bread and soup, Dolan heads out again in the village. Just like every other anime, if you are 15 years old, you are considered an adult. But are you, though? But anyway, Dolan turned 15 a year ago, so he left his home to live on his own as an adult, although he stays in the same village. He goes to the nearby forest with his older brother and uses his trusty fishing rod to catch some fish. Dolan's brother reminds him that he will have to go investigate the swamp near their village tomorrow. Dolan explains why there is even a need to investigate the swamp, telling us that since last month, the lizards from that swamp have disappeared, and that might change the entire ecosystem around it. Dolan's brother doesn't want Dolan to go to such a dangerous place alone, as it was supposed to be Garrison's job originally. Dolan doesn't want to step back from his responsibilities, and the only reason he is helping the elders is because the captain and the others are busy guarding the village. Dolan's brother offers to go with him as he cares for his brother's safety. But Dolan is a grown man at the age of 16 and doesn't want to cause his older brother any trouble. He promises his brother that he will be just fine, telling him not to worry as he will be only going to the swamp to check out the place and nothing else. He manages to catch loads of big fish and brings back a whole bucket of them. On his way back, he meets up with his two friends, Malida and Albert, who become amazed to see the sheer numbers of fish he has caught all by himself. Malida doesn't get why Dolan went out fishing instead of preparing for the investigation. In reply, Dolan claims that he has been preparing little by little for the past several days and assures her that he will be fine. He also thanks her for helping him by persuading the village chief and the other elders into letting him take this job. Malida thanks Dolan back, saying that he is the one who has always been helping her with her and Albert's training. Speaking of which, Dolan asks both Malida and Albert if they are heading out soon. Malita replies in the affirmative, informing Dolan that they have a meeting about the next training session for the little ones soon and will have to leave the village for it. But Albert tells Dolan to not worry about it and advises him to prioritize his investigation. Dolan takes his leave from his friends and heads back home. He guts a fish and heavily seasons it with salt. While preparing the fish, he tells us about the monsters residing around this village. They are called the bandits, and because this is a far side village, there aren't enough soldiers around to give protection to the villagers. So, the villagers are more or less expected to help each other in protecting themselves. Dolan prepares all of the fish he captured and lets them dry out in the sun. The young girl from earlier, Ari, comes at his front door, reminding him that today is Dolan's magic practice day. Dolan asks Ari if she came here only to get him, and she gives the excuse that she was just passing by. Anyway, Dolan heads outside and goes to his grandma's house to train. In front of his grandma and Ari, he demonstrates how magic exists in this world. He recites a basic magic spell by saying the phrase, "Laws of power, hear my voice, become an arrow and pierce my foe." Right after, he shouts energy bolt, which literally releases an energy bolt that blasts the dummy into bits. Dolan's grandma Magaru is impressed at Dolan's offensive magic, as she has always been, and commends the boy for understanding the fundamentals well. Dolan gives all the credit to the old lady, telling her that he is only so good thanks to her teachings. Now that his offensive magic training has come to an end, Lady Magaru decides to make him practice magical medicines, which he is apparently worst at. After spending a long time studying and practicing magical medicines, Dolan meets an oddly attractive woman in the evening. The village chief introduces the woman as Christina, a young noble lady who will be staying at their village for the next couple of days. Dolan shakes hands with Christina and immediately realizes that she is someone very strong and skilled. Dolan goes to his parents' house to have dinner with them, and there it is revealed that he has a younger brother named Marco. Dolan's dad suggests Dolan get a wife since he has been pretty lonely lately. Dolan expresses his desire to be single a little longer, and his dad respects it, telling him that he is free to make his own decisions as he is an adult now. Marco mentions the swamp investigation, which worries Papa and Mama Dolan, and Dolan assures all of them that everything will be fine and he will return safely with a great story to tell them. The next morning, the captain of the village offers to accompany Dolan, but Malita stops him from doing so because he has other duties to fulfill. The nun of the village, Letitia, gives Dolan a simple goddess's blessing. His grandma Magaru comes there, informing him that he might end up running into trouble, as that is what her fortune-telling showed her. So, she tells him to be careful out there. Just before Dolan is about to leave, Ari gives him a lunchbox, telling him to eat it on the road. He thanks everyone for being so wholesome, and then leaves for the journey. He walks the entire way, stopping several times to drink and rest. He explains to us why the disappearance of the lizards affects his village. Apparently, the lizards in the swamp occasionally interacted with the village, but when they disappeared, it just felt odd to Dolan. So, the lizard's disappearance actually affected Dolan and not the village, and that is the reason why he himself volunteered to investigate what happened. He reaches the swamp, not knowing what he might discover there, and places his hand on the ground, instantly figuring out why the lizards are no longer living here. According to his analysis, the Earth's elemental power has gotten too strong, and the water's elemental power has weakened, and that is why the lizards have moved away. Dolan remembers the fortune-telling of Lady Magaru, and knowing that her foretelling is almost never wrong, he suspects that there's something that has deliberately caused the change of the elemental power levels. At that moment, he senses a strong presence nearby and brings out his sword to fight it. Under the current conditions, only strong monsters can reside here. So Dolan can only imagine how strong this unseen monster is. The monster is a lamia, a species that looks half human, half snake. The lamia seems to not have any battle experience at all, so she just moves her hands around, making her look like a total clown. Before Dolan can misunderstand and attack her, she makes it clear to him that she doesn't want to fight him. At that moment, a giant earth elemental monster emerges behind them and attacks the lamia. Dolan reacts quickly and cuts the hand of the earth elemental. He hides behind a giant mushroom with the Lamia and tells her that the only reason the elemental has emerged is the same reason the lizards also left this place: the change in the elemental power levels. In any case, Dolan will have to deal with the monster. But first he introduces himself to the Lamia, learning that her name is Selena. Selena has the ability to use magic, so Dolan suggests she fight the elemental alongside him. She hesitates to work together with a human she has just met, but Dolan's aura is just too great for him to refuse. So, she ends up joining him in his fight and helps him subdue the elemental. Dolan uses his sword to deflect any attacks coming towards Selena, and Selena casts a giant magic spell, summoning a gigantic snake that holds down the elemental. This buys Dolan enough time to close the gap between him and the elemental. With swift speed, he leaps towards the elemental and imbues his sword with draconic magic, cutting the monster down perfectly. The sand reforms back with earth, and some gets splashed at Selena, giving the viewers quite the fan service. Moving along, Dolan becomes properly acquainted with Selena, this time, and camps nearby with her at night. Selena is happy to see that there is a human who isn't afraid of her appearance. Dolan, being Earth's most feared dragon, once met much more stranger creatures, and that explains why he isn't scared of anything at all. Anyway, Selena explains that the only reason she came to the swamp was to find a husband for herself, as she became an adult after turning 17. Speaking of which, Lamias need strong men as their husbands because the regular ones die from their poison. She keeps giving subtle hints to Dolan that they should get married and have babies, but Dolan shows no interest at all, being the Chad he is. He proceeds to make the stew following his mom's recipe and serves it to Selena, who is overwhelmed by the flavor of this delicacy. Seeing Dolan praise his mom, Selena asks him if he loves his family a lot. Dolan agrees and pities the lonely dragon he once was. The next morning, he takes his leave, wishing Selena the best of luck on finding a partner. He gives her some of his life energy as a parting gift, but it turns out to be too strong for her, as his life energy is still of a dragon. As the sun rises, he once again admires its beauty for a second and parts his ways with Selena, telling her to visit his home anytime. Two guys are walking down the road when a traveling Selena runs into them and unintentionally scares them off. She realizes that the bottom part of her body is going to be a problem getting herself a good-looking, strong husband. Meanwhile, Dolan is back home again, making magic potions with Eri and Maguru. Old Lady Maguru states that unlike medicinal herbs, magician's herbs are made with ingredients that have magical powers in them, which also makes it hardest to prepare. Maguru says making potions is apparently so complex that even the slightest difference in the amount of magic can be fatal. It's as if her words have the instant jinx power, because at that very moment, Dolan messes up his potion-making process, reducing all of the ingredients to nothing. Maguru scolds Dolan, telling him to be more delicate with his work. He becomes disappointed at himself, which little Eri doesn't like because she likes him smiling. So she encourages him, telling him that he has a good eye for medicinal herbs and he is a good person who always looks after the children. She also adds how cool she finds him as a person and ends her much-needed compliments there. Grandma Maguru understands the inner feelings of the little girl, but the thick-headed protagonist doesn't get it and praises Eri back, stating that she is the best suited for synthesizing potions, not him. Maguru also agrees and decides to let Eri off for the day. As Eri leaves, Dolan explains to us why he is so bad at this stuff. Since he has been a dragon for eternity, he has never needed medicine, hence has no experience in this field. Maguru tells Dolan to take it easy, telling him that there are no shortcuts when learning everything in a proper manner, and continues to give him lessons, teaching how to make antidotes from poison next. After the lessons, Dolan joins Eri's family for lunch, and before they start to eat, Eri's family prays to Myril, whom the goddess knows as the Mother of Earth. Dolan looks at Myril's statue and reflects on how long it has been since he has met her, hinting that she might appear soon in this story. After having lunch, he runs back to the village as he is about to run late for his regular training. On his way, he runs into a cow lady with big jugs in her hand. that is, who suspiciously offers him to drink some freshly minted milk. Apparently, this weird milk provides the villagers with her own milk, and allegedly, it tastes extremely delightful. But Dolan has his ideals and values, vowing to only drink his waifu's milk. But a man can only resist himself for so long. He decides to have just one sip, but ends up gulping down all of the milk at one go and once again makes a run for it, passing by Christina, whom he doesn't even notice. At the training grounds, Albert is teaching the kids how to use a spear and gives them a break time when Dolan arrives. But instead of taking a break, the kids rush to Dolan to show him the spear they've got, indicating how much kids are fond of this million-year-old man. Suddenly, Dolan senses a demon's presence in the nearby forest and decides to check it out alone later at night when no one else is there. He goes inside the forest, wondering why a demon whose aura makes them incompatible to live in this type of environment has chosen to come here. Using his cheating skills, Dolan pinpoints the location of the demon and finds them behind the bushes taking a private time shower. That demon is none other than Selena the Lamia, and Dolan casually greets her as if she is totally in the mood to have a conversation right now. Selena rightfully freaks out seeing Dolan and accidentally steps on the hot steaming water pot. But before the flaming hot water can splash on her, the Riz Lord saves the day by jumping on top of her. She begs him not to look, but he tells her how pretty she looks anyway. Out of embarrassment, Selena closes her eyes, asking Dolan to at least show her some respect and close his as well. But he refuses to, as he wants to continue enjoying her beauty. She begs him to show some restraint, but the literal savage dragon believes, and I quote, "It is tantamount to a creature's instinct to seek out attractive hot beings. Yeah, bro has crossed the limit now." So Selena justifiably leaves a big red hand mark on the right side of his face, making him understand that he should show more respect to a woman. Anyway, they move past that, and Selena explains why she is here instead of going the opposite direction. Since all humans are scared of her and will likely try to kill her, she came to the conclusion that it is much better for her to choose Dolan as her potential partner. And that is why she did a full 180 and came here. Dolan doesn't realize that Selena wants to have his baby, and he ends up asking her to live in his village, telling her that his village people are friendly towards demi-humans and demons, using the cow lady as an example. Yeah, but the cow lady literally pays with her body to continue coexisting with them. But whatever, Dolan convinces Selena to move to his village, further adding that his life would become much more enjoyable if she stayed with him, and unintentionally flirts with her quite a lot. They shake hands to seal the deal, and just like last time, Dolan gives Selena some of his life energy, which she finds quite satisfying, judging by her expressions. Now that she has agreed to stay in the village, Dolan devises a plan on how to win over the villagers, as he cannot just bring her there out of nowhere. After Selena drops the next batch of games for the villagers, they call their captain to see it. He doesn't seem pleased about this since they do not know who keeps bringing them meat. Inspecting the tracks, Malida acknowledges that it doesn't look entirely like a snake's track. Just then, someone reminds them of the shadow of a half-human which they saw the night before. Hearing this, Captain Balon immediately figures out that it is a lamia. He believes they are a very dangerous species, but wonders why this one keeps leaving its prey behind. Furthermore, he wonders what the motive of the lamia could be. Shortly after, a meeting of the elders of the village is called to deliberate on the matter. As much as they all believe that the lamia kind is evil, they still can't figure out why this beast keeps bringing them prey every day. In the midst of their deliberation, Malida stupidly comments on how delicious the fish brought by the lamia the day before tasted. Immediately she says this, he gets cautioned by Captain Balin. Just then, he suggests that they put together a strike team to hunt down the lamia. However, since they didn't have many men in the village, the elders think this is a bad idea. Instead, they suggest asking for more men from the capital and are prepared to send out a messenger immediately. Meanwhile, Dolan wonders what they could possibly be talking about. He is worried that there is a huge hatred between humans and demons which makes it hard for them to see eye to eye. However, he hopes that his plan with Selena will work out. On the other hand, while the elders deliberate, the fortune teller, Magura reminds them that the lamia might not be such a threat like they think, seeing as it has been sending them gifts. she urges them to wait for the results of her fortune-telling before concluding. At that moment, Eri arrives with the results and hands them to Megura. After examining it, she reveals that the Lamia has good omen and urges them to be patient in trying to figure out what its main purpose is. Hearing this, Dylan happily runs into the woods to inform Selena about this. Getting to her, he informs her about going ahead with the final phase of their plan since hostility from the villagers is now out of it. She seems pleased with it and appreciates the help Dolan has rendered with coming up with the plan so far. However, he states that he is only doing all these for her. With one final step to go, he breaks down the last phase of the plan to her. The next morning, Captain Balin gathers the men and soldiers of the village and informs them about the sighting of the Lamia. He charges them to defend the village and suggests conducting some outdoor drills to make them stronger. While he talks, his son Toro admires how cool he looks and cannot hold back his pride. On one hand, Dylan thinks this gathering would help the final phase of the plan, and eventually lead to Selena being accepted into the village. Amidst this, Selena watches from a distance. She is scared to her bones about this and reminds herself of the plan Dolan had explained to her the night before. Apparently, the plan involved her saving him from a herd of piercing rabbits, which inhabit the venue they intend to use for the outdoor drill. Dolan plans to run into the habitat of the herd, while Selena saves his sorry ass. He believes doing this would make them see her as a good person. Having remembered the plan, Selena nervously waits for the signal. In a shocking turn of events, while Captain Balin addresses them, a soldier comes running from within the woods. Seeing him, they immediately assume that he is being chased by the Lamia. Hearing this, Dolan is worried since he hasn't given Selena the signal yet. Also, Selena is shocked to hear about the possibility of a Lamia chasing the soldier since she hadn't left the spot she was hiding in since. Just then, the soldier reveals that it wasn't a Lamia, but an armored bear. At that moment, a large armored bear with red eyes appeared behind him. Seeing it, Captain Balin orders all the soldiers to retreat. While they run away, his son, Toro, slips, serving himself on a platter for the bear. Seeing this young breakfast, the bear approaches him and is about to slice him up when Dolan runs towards the boy. At that same time, Celine does the same, and the two are able to save the boy. But Selena gets scratched by the bear. Just then, Selena uses a special power of the Lamia called Evil Eyes to command the bear to go back into the forest. When she does this, everyone is shocked to their bones. Even though she was bleeding, she is bothered about the young boy's well-being and seeks to know if he is hurt. Meanwhile, she was bleeding so much. Ignoring that fact, Captain Balin orders Toro and Duan to get away from her. Although Toro obeyed his father's orders, Dolan refuses. He reminds the captain that the Lamia had just saved his son's life, but the bald-headed idiot sticks to his belief that Lamia is dangerous. At this point, Dolan threatens not to move away from the Lamia. This forces the captain to begin asking her some questions. After answering them, he begs them to let her stay in the village and reveals that her father is human like them, promising not to harm them. To finalize his decision, Captain Balin seeks Letitia's advice, and she reveals that Selena is indeed good and means no harm. Also, she notices that Selena had kept her eyes closed throughout so that they would not be affected by the evil eyes. Walking up to her, he asks her to open her eyes and welcomes her into the village. Hearing this, Selena is pleased and passes out immediately. When she wakes up, she is led to her new house. There, Captain Balin had provided her with some stuffed toys to make her comfortable. Seeing this, he is so pleased at how it looks. Also, Captain Balin apologizes for doubting her earlier and thanks her for saving his son from the bear. Just then, they all agree to get to know more about their specific race and live in harmony. Meanwhile, acting like they do not know each other, Dolan and Selena reintroduce themselves in front of everyone. Selena gets along fine with everyone in the village, which puts Dolan at ease as his plan has worked perfectly. He looks up in the sky and gives the entire credit of this fateful encounter to Myrol, leaving the viewers wondering who his mysterious goddess friend is. Dolan decides to visit his old friend and releases a large amount of his sealed aura to attain the ability to fly. He then launches himself into the sky and reaches the realm of the gods in his 12-pack dragon form. The goddess Myrrel welcomes her old friend to her palace, asking him what made him visit her after such a long time. She inquires about his new human life in the living world, teasing him for choosing a peaceful life when he can use his powers to literally change the course of the entire world. After joking around for a while, Dolan gets to the point, thanking Myrrel for considering Selena as a good person, revealing that Myrrel greatly influenced Sister Letitia's judgment, which helped Selena gain everyone's trust. Anyway, Dolan asks Myrrel how she found out that he had reincarnated as a human. Yeah, she is a god, so she can do anything and everything with her infinite powers. But bro is too dumb to understand that, so she gives him the simple answer, saying she had felt his spirit in the prayers of the people. His prayer was filled with joys of life, which caught Myrrel's attention, leading to her discovering that her old friend had reincarnated as a human. Myrrel mentions how gloomy Dolan used to be back when he was still a dragon and is now glad to see he has found a place where he can easily fit in. Speaking of the past, Dolan recalls his dying moment when the hero's sword pierced his heart. He claims that he didn't feel any pain nor any despair of death. He only sensed his weary eternal life coming to an end. But now, as a human, he has found a sense of excitement again. Although humans' lives are short, their lives are extremely beautiful. Whereas a dragon's long-lasting eternal life inside a cave is pretty dull. Having lived for almost 20 years with humans, Dolan's life is dazzling as well. And Myrrel the goddess is happy to hear that, since recently, she has started to feel and sense the joy of Dolan's soul and heart. And the same goes for the Lamia girl as well, who is now happy as she too can now coexist with the apex predators. Dolan suddenly wakes up, revealing to us that he was just dreaming about visiting Myrrel the goddess, which explains a lot because he isn't supposed to transform into a dragon. But was this entire encounter completely fake and bogus? Maybe not. Anyway, Selena the Lamia breaks into Dolan's room, waking him up from his sleep abruptly. She excitedly tells him that today is the promised day, but he doesn't care. He goes back to what she did before this, telling her strictly to knock before barging into someone's room. Selena understands her mistake and apologizes to Dolan for being too casual with him. Dolan asks Selena to explain what she means when she says today is the promised day. And in reply, Selena once again reminds the loser with dementia that he promised to plant some potatoes on the field with Christina today. On the other side, in a more 1800s-looking city, a young man is seen selling the latest newspaper, where news about a series of women and young girls going missing has been reported several times. At a distant castle, a woman knocks on the blonde's door, and the angel statue placed on the door opens her eyes, welcoming the woman to the blonde's private chambers. The blonde elven woman is seen having many pixies or fairies as her assistant. But that's not important. The woman has brought some mail addressed to the dean and hands it to the pixies, who then hands it to the dean, who is an elven blondie. Apparently, the letter is from Christina, who in the letter has shared her experiences spending her days living in the countryside village. According to Christina's report, combat training at the village is practiced on a daily basis. Since the villagers don't have any soldiers from the capital guarding their homes during emergencies, they are left with no other choice but to protect themselves by learning how to fight. The elven blonde continues to read the letter where Christina narrates specifically about the day when she herself participated in a combat training session and fought against Malada. Malada took a harmless duel too seriously and went into full power mode. However, she still failed to land a single hit on Christina, who had a much superior fighting technique, and in the end, Christina embarrassed Malada, knocking her sword away. Christina impressed the crowd with her tremendous swordsmanship, but she didn't come here to boast about her skills. Her goal was to make friends only, and so she acknowledged how good Malada was as a swordsman, complimenting her on her beautiful swordsmanship technique. Captain Balin came there, clapping for both girls for demonstrating such a great mock battle for everyone at the village. For some odd reason, Malada continued to blush uncontrollably after getting complimented by Christina and hesitantly asked her to join her to have lunch together. Balin took her up on that offer and decided to throw a feast for their new friend. leaving Christina speechless, as she never thought that these strangers would be so accepting of her. In the present, Christina has become much closer to the villagers, but she isn't happy for some reason, which may be related to the reason why she came to this village. To vent out her frustration, she goes outside to train. Selena comes there with Dolan and takes Christina to her new house, inviting her to experience how it feels to sleep in Lamia's bed, which is basically a pile of hay bale. Christina gives it a try and finds it unexpectedly comfortable. Selena expresses how happy she feels at the village and states that she likes Balin the most, as he is the most accepting of her. Balin loves diversity so much that he apparently married the cow lady. He gladly lets others have a taste of his wife's milk. Not only that, he also competes with the villagers to see who can drink the most milk. What am I even narrating? Guys, this is crazy. Anyway, the girls don't like that Dolan is just standing so far away from them, so they force him to join them on the bed and have a laugh about it, while everyone in the village enjoy themselves with a cup of Balin's wife's specially made milk. She walks up to Dolan and asks him how it tastes. In response, he claims it is very nice. To add to this, Balin loudly claims that there is no one who can drink this milk more than him. He tries to challenge everyone, but no one is ready for it. Amidst this, Selena brings Lady Christina to the bar. Seeing her, Captain Balin seeks to know why she has come. In response, she reveals that she wishes to have a taste of his wife's milk, which he always boasts about. Hearing this, his wife excitedly runs to get her a cup. When she hands her a cup, Christina gulps it down swiftly, hawking Captain Balin to the bones. After drinking it, she commends Ut's great taste, and Balin's wife is excited that she thinks this way. On the other hand, Captain Balin seizes the opportunity to challenge Lady Christina to a drinking contest, since he believes she is a good drinker. Since she was the Inkai one woman enough to go up against him, he seems happy to show off. Shortly after, the drinking contest begins, and the two gulp down a large cup of milk, asking for more. While they take down several cups, the villagers are left in awe as they watch in amazement. As time went on, Captain Balin began to lose his composure, and one of the servants notices it. Just while he was drinking the next cup, he passes out, making Lady Christina victorious. When this happens, everyone gets excited and some men go to hug her. At first, he finds this uncomfortable, but soon realizes that everyone is genuinely happy for her. This causes her to join them in laughter. When everything had settled down, Dolan is worried that Christina is still drinking, but she claims she hasn't had enough to fill her up. While the two talk, Captain Balin's wife comes with her daughter's new drink for Christina to try it out and give her honest review. She claims she had wanted Captain Balin to try it out, but since he had passed out, she decided to bring it to her. Offering the drink to Christina, he gulps it down and lets them know how good and tasty it is. Furthermore, she asks for another cup. This makes Captain Balin's daughter very happy, and she hugs Christina tightly to show her appreciation. While she seems pleased by this, he remembers that Dolan and Selena are the breaking she was able to get closer to the people in the village. She had sent a letter to the dean earlier, informing her about this and telling her about how she has now become friends with Lamia. Reading this letter, the dean is pleased. Just then, she hears a knock on the door and a young man comes to invite her to the ball, which happened to be happening in the academy. In the ball, rumors of a student of the academy being friends with Lamia continues to spread around, leaving everyone shocked as to how a demon would ever be friends with a human. However, when they realize it is Christina, who happens to be the best student in the academy, they begin to see the possibility. To deviate from this, they also comment on how beautiful the Lamia is when compared to Christina. Hearing the whispers, the dean is surprised at how fast such a rumor has spread. While she considers this, a woman with a strange aura named Kirin arrives. She instructs the dean to inform her about this Lamia in detail. Hearing this, she is skeptical about why a woman such as Kirin, who happens to be the witch of the Governor General, would be interested in the Lamia. In response, Kirin blurts out the need to not underestimate the Lamia. She wonders how a demon as powerful as a Lamia would stoop so low as to live with humans. Just then, she is reminded about the case of the missing person which still remains unsolved. This, she claims, is her reason for asking, since she doesn't want any more tragedy in the land. As much as the dean acknowledges the dangers happening lately, she informs Kirin about how kind-hearted the Lamia is. Furthermore, he informs Kirin that the goddess of the land has given a revelation through her oracle to allow the Lamia live with them. Even though Kirin has no issues with all these, he believes that the Lamia should still be summoned to the capital. In order to do so, she instructs the administrator of Burn Village to go and bring the Lamia to the capital. On the bright side, Dolan, Selena, and Christina spend their time farming. While Selena seems to be doing well, Christina seems too aggressive with her farming. While the three farm, one of the soldiers comes to inform Dolan about a happening at the village gate. On getting there, the villagers gathered, with the village chief in panic mode. Just then, the beardless dummy from before orders his soldiers to surround Dolan and Selena. He introduces himself as Gorda, the administrator of their district. After that, he accuses Dolan of inviting a Lamia into their land. When Dolan agrees to this, the priestess steps forward to inform him that the goddess has revealed that Selena is not evil. Even though he claims that he doesn't question this, he reveals his intention and will to make sure every potential danger is ended before they can grow. Watching him say this, Dolan wonders what he could possibly want. At that moment, he reveals that he wants to take Selena Rowe, the Governor General, in order to figure out if she is actually good or not. Not wanting her to go alone, Dolan offers to go with her and Gorda has no issues with this. While they leave, Christina is worried about them. She decides to head back to the academy and ask the dean about this. To get there, she uses her speed powers and runs as fast as she can to the academy. On the other hand, Dolan tries to make Selena as comfortable as possible and assures her that there is no need to worry. His words keep her calm as they continue on their journey. Meanwhile, Christina finally gets to the academy and asks the dean about this. In response, the dean informs her that Gorda wasn't the one who summoned Selena, but it was in fact Kirin, the witch, who thinks that Selena is dangerous. Later on, Dolan and Selena finally arrive at their destination and are left wondering what could happen next.